Let's do it, people. Let's get into it. Today, how real estate and dating apps can be very, very similar.
I love talking about this.
And I know you didn't know that's where I was going with it, so I was absolutely waiting for your response. Okay, so I don't confess, this is just the reality of my life and age. I've never once been on a dating app. Now, I haven't had a profile, nor have I, scouted to date. I just met my wife way before all that was a thing.
Sure.
And also way before most people meet their wife. But all that to say, is it true, Courtney, as the movies would present it, that some people, no names are being named, might present themselves on a dating app a little differently than they are in the real world?
Well, right. Online you is the exact same.
I would be so good looking in a dating app. And then people in the real world would be like, oh, you would more describe him as a nice guy. That's not the A gift.
You'd put hunting pics.
People would say
that's the problem.
That guy's got a face for radio, is what they say all the time. Mostly because I do radio. My point.
And you do have a face for it.
No, that's kind of you. That's how men show love. Okay, so the point I'm making is.
Oh, I see the intro.
Okay, here she's caught on. Okay, so in the world of dating, that's what everybody's worried about, right?
Sure.
It's like, okay, sure,
Are
the profile looks great.
As they appear.
Where do I want to be when I might discover how accurate this internet presentation is? Okay, well, in the world of real estate, a smart home buyer with a great real estate agent should be thinking the same thing. Okay, cool. I saw your online posting, and it looked big and spacious and bright and light and open and clean and well taken care of. But I've been in homes that looked like that on the internet, and inside smelled terrible and looked dingy, and the paint wasn't as clean as it showed on the internet, and the room wasn't as bright, and it actually felt a lot smaller, and the furniture was a disaster. What's the difference?
Wait. I think you're really on to something here.
I'm glad that you think
that I think people need to shift gears a little bit from how we've used MLS in the past and how we're now on dating apps. And so now we're dating homes. And so we might even present our homes differently.
Okay. So
what about an action shot?
There's 1,000 parallels.
Is that home staging?
There's 1,000 parallels here. We're not going to get into date the rate on this one, but we are going to get into when you actually marry someone. Okay. We've all married someone, right? That even me, who my story is unique. We dated in high school. We were close friends and dated when we were 9th and 10th grade. Even then, that's not a decision you make overnight. You don't decide, oh, let's get married. But we are making buy a home decisions usually in less than 20 minutes. We look at a picture on the internet. A friend tells us about something. We drive by. We talk to our agent. We schedule a showing. We are physically in that house 16, 17 minutes, and we might make an offer. I mean, think about that for a second. And I'm not saying that you need to take 8 months to buy a house. I'm saying you need to approach this with a little bit more caution and care and concern. And so the topic for today's episode is home staging. What the heck are we talking about? We're talking about sprucing the profile pickup.
Yeah, showing what's possible, showing my potential, showing me in features. Action.
Yeah,
I have friends.
I'm also, though, going, okay, I hypothetically speaking, look, I've got a bit of a receding hairline here, and I have to put a photo on the internet. So do I wear a hat?
Absolutely.
And then I go to the first date, and I don't have a hat on, and she's like, oh, that's different. Or do I say, no, I need to show
who I am,
everybody who I am, but I do want to do that in the best light. So let me get a good haircut. I don't want to be in the bad lighting. This is really who I am. I'm not faking it. And I'm going to show the truth. I'm not going to hide the truth. So she's shocked when we get together, but I'm also not going to act like it's not what it is.
You want the truth? I don't think you can handle the truth.
Oh, I really thought you were going to quote that well.
Oh, you didn't.
I needed you to respond.
You didn't like the delivery.
But that's not the words he says. He doesn't say, I don't think you can handle the truth.
He says you can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
I get it, but you weren't responding to
All right. I think this is good. What is the difference between staging and interior design?
Okay.
Because you propose an interesting...
Couple quick things, right? So the parallel here is dating. And so the online profile pic is the online house pic, right? And so staging is sort of that same process of like, well, how do I want to present myself to potential dating relationship people? So staging the house is how do we want to present the house to the potential buyer market, right? And we gave a couple of metaphors that are not hard to follow, right? Do I want to hide some things about this house that people are going to find out later and be disappointed about? Or do I want to be open and honest, but present these real things in the best light, not fake, but best? Plan B is better than plan A, right? So if I'm going on a first date and somebody thinks I'm a fun outdoor guy and I wear a hat backwards, and they show up and they see kind of a nerdy dude with funky hair, they're like, oh, well, they were just hiding the bad stuff. Not that your hair is going to ruin a relationship, but you get the point. With the house, the version of that, Courtney, would be, for example, you virtually or digitally staged this house. And so it looks like it could hold a king bed and a bedside table and a chest of drawers. When I get there, it could barely fit a full, and it's really tight and I can't walk around it. So you tricked me. You presented it as something it's not. Now, good staging is taking what the home has really, truly, legitimately, without trickery or faking, and presenting it in the best, and I'll add this, most versatile light. So, for example, if I'm a big furniture person and I want a couch, a love seat, and 2 big, heavy chairs, to stage that room, I might declutter, take some things out so that you could better see it like, oh, well, we could do 2 love seats. There's plenty of room there. So it's not tricking you into thinking it's something that it's not. It's saying this is what is really there and the most attractive, most creative, most versatile way of seeing it. That's what staging does. And I'll tell you more in a second.
So when we sold our first house with you, we had one of those big U-shaped sectionals, right?
Yep.
And it has like the 3 and the 2, and then the one where you can like lay out. Yeah,
chaise lounge. Yeah.
And I remember Amy came and she took out.
Amy's our in-house stager.
She took out one of the pieces and put it in the garage, and I was like, I hate this.
Yep.
But it made the room feel so much bigger. It's not how we lived in it, which we loved, how like cozy it felt. But in order to maximize the room space, it was like, we're going to take out this one piece of it so we can really show like the size of it.
Perfect story. You know, it pains me to compliment him that way, but perfect story to answer the rest of my answer to your question of what is the difference in staging and photography.
So it shows what's possible.
The first answer of what is staging, it's how we present the house to buyers, right? Staging for photography could be slightly different than in person, but you're staging it so someone goes, ooh, I want to see more.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. Now, interior design, Ian would have said, I don't like the way this looks and feels for me to live in it. Design is for living in it. Staging is presenting it in a sales or marketing perspective for a buyer to see it and go, ooh, I like what I see. I want to go see more. I want to come out in person and see more. Okay. Or it's also for the visit when they're there to go, oh, I could fit this. I could fit that. There's plenty of room here. That room could be this or that. That would be a really inviting kitchen. Staging is to say, hey, here's how you could live in this house. Design is to say, here's how you're going to live in this house and how can we make it look and feel the most enjoyable for you, the way that you live, right? So staging might say, okay, your dining room table, Courtney, fits 12 people. 12 chairs fit around the table. And you might host all the time. So you leave all 12 chairs out all the time because people want to recline and sit and eat and drink and be merry. Great. Wonderful lifestyle. So a designer would say, great, not ideal to have 12 chairs and this table. The room's kind of tight, but let's find a way to design around that. Do we put some pillows on those chairs? Do we do centerpieces? Do we change the lighting? Do we maybe take this wall out so this room feels a little bigger, even though it's not any bigger? Because that's how you're going to live. A stager would almost certainly say, we're going to take at least 4 of the chairs out. So the table in the room feels bigger. There's only 8 chairs at a 12-person table. And so your instinct in your 10 or 12-minute decision-making process while you're just visiting is, wow, it feels like a really big dining room.
All right. I hear you. I'm selling my house. You're asking me to spend money. This costs money to stage. How does this add value? What is this going to do for me? in the sale of my home.
Okay, couple of things. It doesn't always cost you money depending on who you work with. For example, at the Todd Tramonte home selling team, if your home is occupied and you still live in it, staging is just part of what we do. It's part of our fee. It's part of the total package. You're going to get massive return on that investment. I'll talk about it later, but really we make the investment up front so you're not out of pocket. There's a few scenarios where you could be out of pocket for staging, but I'd say 8 or 9 out of 10 of our sellers are not coming out of pocket to pay for any staging, maybe even more than that. Okay, how does staging add?
But do you ever get pushback from people being like, I don't want to pay for that?
Yes, but not almost ever.
Okay.
More often we get like, I don't want to move my stuff around.
Because it adds a ton of value.
Well, just like Ian said, like, no, I watch the World Cup's on.
Still living in
That's where I sit on and watch the
house.
games. And then I go, hey, would you be willing to be like a tiny bit moderately uncomfortable for a few weeks
Not for the England games.
if it got you $30,000 more dollars?
I'll sell next year.
I'll go to the pub.
Exactly. It's like, all right, well, for a few weeks, are you willing to go to a friend's house or for tens of thousands of dollars, just, go to the pub, go watch it in another room or, do something temporary setup. So how does staging add value? Lots of ways. Okay. Number one, homes that are well staged, and well staged is a keyword because you can do a lot of bad staging. We can talk about that if you want. This show is brought to you by the Todd Tramonte home selling team, where we guarantee to sell your home over the average price and under the average time. We also guarantee to help you buy a home and save at least $5,000 throughout the purchase process. Check out over 800 5-star reviews on Google. We'll get back to the show. Homes that are staged well are almost always going to sell faster. So there's some time value. If you want to get out of this house and get to the new city where the job is, or get to the new house, or your home's finished being built or whatever, the time value is that homes that are staged are usually going to sell faster. Now, different areas and different price points are different rate faster. You might be like half the time. Generally speaking, overall, I would say it's gonna sell at least 30% faster. That's an average, so don't hold me to that. But let's say in your neighborhood, homes are taking 6 weeks to sell right now. I'd say you could probably sell that in a couple of weeks faster than other people. People are more likely to come see it, so more people will, and they'll come see it faster, and they'll be more inclined to make an offer. So it leads to all those things from a time value. Now, from a dollar value, I've been staging homes for sale for well over 20 years in the DFW area, and statistically, there's going to be a big annoying range, but I would say somewhere from 3 to 9% more. So if I had to average that, let's just say your house is going to sell for 5 or 6% more money if you stage it well. So let's just say you have a $500,000 house. You're talking about literally selling for $25,000 or $30,000 more if you present it to buyers well. Staging's a big piece of that. Then there's sort of the experience of, let's call this the mental value, the psychological value. Let's say you're a buyer and I'm a seller, and you come into my house and you're like, this house is great. It's got good bones. It's got the right number of bedrooms. It just doesn't feel great. Like their furniture is old. I can tell they have a dog. It kind of smells like dog. It's not bad, but it's not blowing me away. The house is checking all my boxes, but it doesn't have that something. Doesn't have that vibe, the energy. So staging usually creates that. It can help you create that. So where you're like, that's not the kind of furniture I want, but it looks good, right? I would turn my dining room table the other way, but that's an awesome dining room and it looks like there's enough room for me to do that. That's what staging can do. It's that. So you have the time value, you have the dollar value, and then you have that sort of psychological value, which will lead to shorter time periods and more money. So you could just say time and money, but I do think that psychological thing matters because, and I would bet this is true of you, Courtney. Ian, I know this is true of you, but you can walk in a certain house and be like, nope, this doesn't feel like home to me. True or false?
True.
Yeah.
Oh, easy.
Even really analytical people that are like, I don't buy houses based on feelings. They're like, this isn't it. They might not say doesn't feel right or this doesn't have the right energy or vibe, but that's kind of what they're saying in their way is like, it's got the right bedrooms and bathrooms, but this one isn't it. So time value, going to sell faster on average. Money value, you're going to sell for 5 or 6% more on average. And then there's that psychological value that your buyer's more invested, more excited, more energetic, more optimistic, which will lead to time and money, but it also leads to like ease of transaction and their joy in the home after they buy it. So I could talk for 4 hours on the value of staging and like the cost of poorly staging, And like, what are some bad definitions of stager? Really quickly, just a bad definition is someone who comes out to your house and they're like, here's a list of 20 things that you need to do. Go do it. Bye. No one ever finishes the list. It's just like historically people will do one or two obvious things and then they don't do the other thing. So in my opinion, great staging is someone that comes and does it for you. There's a lot of other degrees of that where people are just like depersonalize. And it's just this black and white statement of like, take down all your photos. That's going to help. Well, there's some more nuance to that. Declutter, just declutter everything. Take a half of your stuff out. Well, there's some nuance to that.
It's also really overwhelming for people.
Right. Remove all your valuables. Well, there's sometimes that I wouldn't do that. Price points and areas. So it's not that black and white, which is why you need a professional to do that for you. We include that when people sell homes with us at the Todd Tramonte home selling team. Other people might go out and pay for it if they're doing it themselves, or I don't know, if they have an agent that just doesn't know what they're doing or whatever. I don't recommend that, but that you can do that. You can just go figure it out, all on your own. Okay. So did I answer the question?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Okay. So now I've done this. I've sold. Now I'm buying.
Yep.
Like, how do I make my home my own? Do you have any tips on how I can get settled?
Okay. So we talked earlier and Ian gave a great example of like, from a design perspective, he wants the whole sectional. He wants it to be comfy and cozy, but he still wants the house to look nice. So like, where should that go? And should I add pillows or what's the lighting and all that stuff? So that's like an interior design, like design around your lifestyle. Staging is prep it, present it well to a buyer. Moving in on the buy side is like, forget staging. There's nobody else I'm concerned about. It's all design, but it's first time design. Right? So when you've been in your house for 10 years, you're like, well, that would be the perfect place for the couch, except I like to sit there and have coffee in the morning and the sun comes in the window there a little funky. So for that reason, I don't put my couch there. That's like live in it design, but you don't know that yet when you're brand new. So this is where like having a great stager, designer, or real estate expert that understands things like that, that's like, hey, hang tight. As you move in, before you choose all that, what's the movement of light and shadow? Which side of the room is usually a little bit warmer just because there's more windows or the AC unit doesn't blow there as much. And that's where design and on the move-in design, like how do I move in and make this house my own and feel cozy? Literally, it could be where plugs are. Well, if I want a lamp there, am I going to drill a hole in my foundation and have someone run new electric, or am I running a cord, or do I need battery operate? Like, that's where move-in design is a very difficult game of learning the home, not just we needed 4 beds, 2.5 baths, 3,000 square feet in this school district. Nothing wrong with all that. But now we're like personalizing and adapting to what's there or our budget to change things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think people should get help for this. Now, you can have a designer, you can have a stager, but they need to know that really this is kind of an in-between thing. It's less about staging, more about design, but it's a real estate driven. What does the infrastructure of the house offer? What were we willing to change? But upon move-in, most people don't do that. Question for both of you. Have you ever been to someone's house, and let's just say they've lived there, it doesn't matter how long, but they've lived there a long time, at least 5 years. And there's something weird about the house, and they're like, yeah, we didn't realize such and such, and so we've just been living around it forever. Like, can you think of an example where someone's like, yeah, the laundry's always right there because blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't notice how insane my house looks till people come over. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
But you know all the reasons for things.
Yes.
So like, just clutter and being dirty is one thing. But like, that's where the laundry baskets go because that's another thing. But if someone was there to help you while you were buying or right after you bought, and like as you moved in and strategically think about like, hey, time out before we do that. I could have a plug put right there for like $85, and then you'll never have to put all your laundry over on the dining table. If someone was there to help you with that, you'd be like, oh my gosh. Or a year in, you'd be like, hey, I want to talk to my agent again, or whoever's got this skill set. And be like, would you just come do a run through of my house with me? And we're settled in, but there's a few annoying things. Can you help us think about how to overcome that? We do that for our clients at the Todd Tramonte home selling team all the time, but it's not what you would think of a realtor for. You're like, well, I'm not buying or selling, but you need that skill set. This is a long answer to your question of like, what about when I'm moving in the design of that part? I'm not going to be your interior designer.
I'm so glad you're saying this because I've actually had some of our clients say that's been the best part of like their experience with you is like that the vision and the tips that you had of how the home could be better.
And different members of our team, everyone here does that, right? But different people have slightly different giftings and things. Like I know if you're working with Gibson and it's like, well, it'd be awesome if that sink, could be on that wall. He's going to be able to be like, yeah, well, you just move that in the framing. That's not going to be a big deal. If you're talking to David, if you're buying with David and you're like, this room's not big enough, but that room's too big. It's like the space, they put the space in the wrong spot. He'll be like, well, that's not a load bearing wall. We could take this wall out and you can use the space however you want. And there's other people on our team that are much more attuned to like, I think all you need to do is lighten the color in this room and you don't need to change anything else. Like and the team works together. So our clients get the benefit of all of that, but no, it's hard to explain what I just said in less words. I wish I could, but what I would say if I was trying to summarize that is when you're selling, staging is about presenting the home for sale, presenting to a buyer the diversity of the options that they're going to have, the best attributes of the home without hiding and misleading people about bad ones. Interior design is about making the home look not just good, but look the way that you want it to look and make it feel the way you want it to feel around the necessities of life. More chairs, less lamps, whatever it is. And then this move-in thing is kind of different. It's way more design than staging, but it's design while learning and understanding the infrastructure and the limitations or the budget to change the limitations of the house. And if that bored you, I'm sorry, but these are literally life-changing decisions and life-changing approaches to buying, selling, or enjoying your home more, kind of making it your own or making others inclined and willing to make it their own. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Okay.
I think this was a great conversation.
It's funny. I like this conversation. I'm not a design guy. Now I'm like a redesign guy, but I'm not a pillows and colors and lamps and flowers and lighting guy.
It's really where I shine, Todd.
Ian loves that.
Yeah, he's very aesthetic, as the kids say. Where I really love real estate is finding what's possible here. Like this house, people don't like this house and no one's making offers because that room right there is a freaking stupid. But let me show you really quickly how for like $2,000, we could do this or we could do that. Or if we just move that plug, if we move this opening, if we just closed up that door, that's the kind of stuff. And I don't mean remodel, redesign. I literally mean just kind of that. Understand how you want and need to use a home, how somebody else would want and need to use a home, how to add value, lifestyle value, not resale value. And for that reason, I think it's a great conversation. So, hey, folks, if you're thinking about buying or selling a home, if you're thinking, I'm not buying or selling, I'm never leaving, but there's some annoying things about my house that I'd like to understand how to enjoy it better, give us a call. We're here all the time. 214-216-2161. No matter where you are, if you're thinking about a move to Dallas or from Dallas or within Dallas, that's what we do. That's what we specialize in. And we're also here just to advocate for you, be a leader and a guide and a source of information, whether you or your business is making a move or just wanting to enjoy your DFW real estate more. Let us know if we can help. We're online at toddtramonteteam.com, and we'll talk to you on the next one.